it's Alex Librarian, and today I will be giving a book summary on the book The Lost Hero, which is the first book of the Heroes of Olympus series, which is the sequel series to the Percy Jackson series. So make sure you watch my Percy Jackson summaries to understand this book. So starting off with it, I need to explain, so there are basically 3 point of views, so 3 main characters, Jason, Piper, and Leo, and the book is about them. So, it starts out in a field trip to the Grand Canyon. Jason just awoke from a bus, and he was holding hands with a girl named Piper, but he didn't remember anything about his past and why he was there. And he didn't know anything, and he was really confused, but only the teacher knew why he was there and that he was different, because he did not know any of these people, but the other people seemed to know him for a long time, and he seemed to be friends with these 2 people named Piper and Leo, but he does not remember any of it. And so Jason, Piper, and Leo, they go onto the Grand Canyon, but then some storm spirits or venti attack them, and that's when the teacher, Coach Hedge, saves them. He reveals that he's a satyr to the trio, and they learn that they're demigods, and they're going to Camp Half-Blood. But then Annabeth comes, which is the main, or the second, or the semi-main character of the Percy Jackson series, went there, but she was disappointed not to see her boyfriend Percy Jackson, because he's been missing for a few days, and then the whole camp was searching for him because he was very important, because he did a lot of important things, and you have to watch my previous videos to understand about that. And the trio, Annabeth, they go back to Camp Half-Blood, and immediately Leo gets chosen, and he gets recognized by Hephaestus, so he's the son of Hephaestus, and so he goes to the Hephaestus cabin, and at the Hephaestus cabin, Leo meets a bunch of other people, and he learns that his friends, or the cabin mates, are searching for a bronze metal dragon that was rampaging around the woods, and only their previous senior counselor of the Hephaestus cabin could control it, and that was Charles Beckendorf, who died in the 5th book of the Percy Jackson series. So Leo, they explain that they can't get near the dragon because it breathed fire, so they couldn't get near. But then Leo tried touching fire, but then it worked, and he didn't get burned. So he was actually a fire controller, or whatever it's called. So one day, Leo plans to go in the wood. He finds Festus, and he names the dragon Festus, and he tames the dragon. So back to Jason and Piper. Jason and Piper don't get chosen by any of the gods, so they just, Annabeth shows Piper around the camp, and then Piper sees that in the Hera cabin, the door was open, but there's no children of Hera at Camp Half-Blood, since Hera is the goddess of marriage, and naturally she wouldn't marry any people other than her husband Zeus. So Annabeth and Piper, they go into the cabin, and they meet Rachel Elizabeth Dare, and Rachel is the oracle, and she starts saying a iris message, but via the oracle, which is kind of weird. But Piper sees that Hera is actually telling her to free her from this jail. And then back to Jason, he finds a tattoo on his arm, and he also always says Roman names. So instead of saying Ares, he says Mars. Instead of calling Zeus, he calls Zeus's Jupiter, all the Roman forms. And Chiron immediately knows what Jason is, but he does not want to tell Jason because he swore on the River of Styx, and if you lie on the River of Styx, then you die, and obviously you don't die. So he brings Jason into the big house, and they start talking. But then Jason starts going in a trance, and he has a vision of Hera in a cage saying, "Free me," and that was connected to Piper's. And then finally, when they went back to the campfire for the night, Jason gets recognized by Zeus, so he was the son of Zeus, which is weird because he didn't get scented by one of the monsters, since the children of the big three have really strong smells. And Piper gets recognized by Aphrodite, the goddess of love. So, and then Rachel starts saying a prophecy, which reads, 7 half-bloods shall answer the call. To storm or fire the world must fall. An oath to keep with a final breath, and foes bear arms to the doors of death. And that was the next great prophecy. And so there was a big quest coming soon, but then Rachel recites another prophecy for the quest that was going to happen that year. And it was, "Child of lightning, beware the earth. The giant's revenge, the 7 shall birth. The forge and dove shall break the cage, and death unleash through Hera's rage." So, Jason got picked for the quest, and he chose 2 other people, Piper and Leo. But they didn't know how they would be try to save Hera, and they didn't know how they would transport. But Leo saves the day. He brings Festus, and And so after that, Chiron tells them to go to Boreas, the god of the north wind, because since he tracks down the wind, and so he would probably know where Hera was, since he knows everything really. And Jason wonders why Alias wouldn't help. They didn't go to Alias because he's not very helpful towards heroes. So the 3, they use Festus. They go to Boreas, and they ask him how to get Alias's help, since he's the major wind god. And he says to track down all the Venti or storm winds and bring them to him, because after a Titan dies, it releases a bunch of storm winds, and after that, Alias has to do all the work to track them down. So what they do is they try to go to Alias, and they go there, they track down all the Venti, they give them to Alias, but Alias doesn't help. So his assistant Melly brings them to the place where Piper's dad was. So Piper's history was basically, Piper has a famous actor dad, and he got trapped by a giant. And that giant is on a mountain, and that's where Melly brought them. But Piper has to choose either to help them on the quest to help Hera, or to save her dad. And Jason suddenly remembers sudden moments of his past, and he knows that a girl named Talia Grace, a hunter of Artemis, was his sister. So when they go to the mountain, they find the hunters, and Jason meets Talia. They start remembering each other, and so they share good memories, and Talia tells Jason about his past, more about his past, but since they split apart at an early age, she didn't know much about Jason. So, Jason, Piper, and Leo explain to the hunters what is happening. So Talia, she says she knows where the wolf house was, and the wolf house was where Hera was located because Boreas told them. And so the hunters went to the wolf house, while the trio they're going to the mountain where Piper's dad is. So when they go to the mountain, they meet a giant, and that giant explains to them that Gaia, or Mother Earth, is awakening, and that's very bad because there's a bunch of giants that are also awakening with Gaia. So since the Titans were defeated, now the giants are rising. And they managed to defeat the giant, and they grab Piper's dad. They flee, and the trio go to the wolf house while Coach Hedge takes Piper's dad and brings him to hostage. And so the trio, they defeat all the enemies at the wolf house, including the daughter of Boreas, Khione, the goddess of snow, and she was the one that persuaded Hera to go into that cage. So they managed to destroy the cage and get Hera out. But then the king of the giants, Porphyrion, he awakes, and since he's scared of Hera and the trio, he flees to Greece, where it's the roots of the Greek. So he wants to destroy Greece, and they go back to camp unharmed. And Leo plans to build a ship that will go to Greece to stop the giants. And so that's basically the end of the book. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye.